Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create an ecosystem of academic excellence. Through inspiring conversations, practical strategies, and actionable insight, we empower educators, change makers, and leaders just like yourself to foster trust, collaboration, and academic excellence to ultimately create an ecosystem of academic excellence. Today's conversation that we're going to have, I am very excited about because the reality of it is that most leaders don't fail from a lack of skill. They fail from a lack of an emotional intelligence and this gap of emotional intelligence in their lives that doesn't allow them to be able to show up to the best of their abilities. I hope this person helps create and help leaders ultimately close the gap so that they can ultimately build trust, inspire performance, and lead with clarity and confidence. This individual that we're going to be talking to today has 30 years of talent management, holding executives accountable and navigating these high stakes environments and conversations in talent management, learning and development, executive coaching, and all of these various things. But I think that there's something special, yes, about her bio professionally, but she's more of a special individual. She's someone that is highly trusted and someone that I would call a mentor, a guide, and someone that has shifted my perspective and how I approach leadership. Nicole Smith, how are you?
Oh, hello, Kyle. That intro was amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's always interesting reading people's bios because you get tripped up and then you get lost in all of what they've done. But
yeah,
you forget like, hey, this is actually somebody I know.
Yes, exactly. It's like I know so many people at what they would say different levels in their career and life and so forth. And every single one of them is amazing. I have to sit back and go, I know some dope people. I mean, and that's just what you sit back and you say is like, we're fabulous. So yeah. Well, thank you for that intro.
I appreciate you and I appreciate your time today. It's really a privilege to be here on this conversation with you. I have so many questions, but before we get off into the episode and talking about all of these things professional, who are you? Outside of the bio, outside of the professional titles, how would you define who you are?
Oh my gosh, that's like a loaded question, right? And I'm glad you asked it because I try to guide people in saying who are you in regards to your identity, in regards to nothing that can be taken away from you. So all those accolades, all those certificates and degrees can be taken away from me, right? So I like to say, I'm bold, I'm audacious, I'm sassy. Oh, listen, I am very fluent in sarcasm. But I'm also I'm a learner. And with me being a learner, being in talent management, it's not that I just like to learn. I also too like to share. And I like to share that knowledge. And so what I have to balance with that is not being said that I'm a know-it-all, right? Because no, I don't know it all. But I have to say, I do know a lot, right? Just in through my career and my research and so forth that I've done. I'm a mom. I know I said I wasn't going to name things that can be taken away from you, but I want to let people know that I am a mom. I'm a boy mom. I've been married for 27 years. And when we talk about emotional intelligence, when people say, what is that secret sauce? It is EQ. It is EQ in regards to my relationship. And I have to say, I'm also raising two wonderful men who are maximizing their emotional intelligence today as well. So, I mean, I could go on and on. I'm a travel junkie. I'm in the gym. I'm in the gym all the time. So if you see me in the gym, just say what's up. But I just like helping people understand the impact of their behavior. And that's where I am today. That is the chair I sit in today.
Let's unpack this a little bit. And, the term emotional intelligence is thrown out so much,
right,
especially now in this generation. How would you define what emotional intelligence is?
Good question. Emotional intelligence is being able to feel the feels, right? Being able to recognize the emotions, the data that's being given to you, and be able to label it and process it. And with that, manage your behavior that comes from it. But in turn, You need to be able to recognize and label other people's emotions, but influence their behavior, because we try to manage other people's behavior. And you can't manage anybody. And you think about it, you try to manage your 3-year-old trying to put on his shoes before you take him to school. Yeah, he has other plans. But what you can do is influence the behavior. So it stems all the way from home influencing behavior all the way to in the workplace.
Can you talk about the difference between, because I think that there's a lot of people that are going to hear that and hear influence, but believe manipulation.
Ooh.
Can you talk about the intersection or the differences between I'm using my ability to be emotionally intelligent and aware, as well as empathetic for other people, not to manipulate them into certain behaviors, but to influence them?
I would say, if I'm using workplace terms, for instance, influence means gaining buy-in. Influence means gaining trust, to where if you are a leader in the workplace, your team will walk to the edge of the earth for you, right? They will support you. They will speak very highly of you. Influence is not, like you said, manipulation. Manipulation means it's only for my gains. It's only for what I perceive as good, right? And I'm not going to reciprocate. When I influence, you will see that I am trustworthy, I am kind, and you will see that I demonstrate my values, right? Because we have people walking around with all these values, but they don't know how to demonstrate them, right? But I demonstrate my values and I reciprocate. Okay, I reciprocate. But also too, when I influence, it doesn't mean I'm perfect. See, when I influence, I'm not showing that I'm perfect. I'm showing that, hey, I can have a bad day too. There's days I want to flip tables too. But it's showing now how I can influence you to get what you desire. And usually if you have that desire, if you are maximizing your EQ, you're also too considering the other person in the situation.
Where do you begin? Let's say that somebody's listening in right now, and maybe this is for me. Like, where do you begin in this journey, whether it's personally or professionally? Because I think they're probably very similar. Becoming more emotionally intelligent.
Okay, that's so good. People are walking around saying they're self-aware. I mean, how many people, I'm self-aware. I love it. I'm self-aware. It's a trendy word now. But fun fact, only about 15% of us are truly self-aware.
Really?
15%. Yeah. Listen, that self-awareness, I want everyone that's listening to get to the point where when somebody tells you about yourself, you are not surprised. And what takes you to get there, what is going to allow you to get there, is self-discovery. So in my framework that I use in helping people and guiding leaders is EQ impact. The first step is self-discovery. You need to sit back and really hone into who you are, what you like, what you don't like, your triggers. How do you normally respond to stuff? How do you normally respond to chaos and crisis? Because you can sit here and say, I'm self-aware and I want peace in my life, and that's great. But peace doesn't mean there won't be chaos and crisis. So what I want you to do is start with self-discovery, because that is half the battle in regards to being able to maximize your emotional intelligence, is that true self-discovery. And listen, with self-discovery, there are times that you will have to sit in that silence. You will have to sit in that discomfort of realizing who you are and how others perceive you. So self-discovery is going to be that first step to gain that self-awareness that you're walking around telling everybody that you have.
So let me ask you this. What are the barriers? Why don't we get to the point where we're self-discovering ourselves in a sense? And I guess the better way that I want to position this question is, we always talk about, especially this generation, of I'm reading this book, I'm listening to this podcast, I'm going out and getting this, entry to this conference, and I have this coach that I'm listening to, but we're still showing up the same way in the workplace. We're still showing up the same way in our relationships in a sense. So where's the bridge between I'm doing the work, but I'm actually becoming a better person?
You're doing the work, but I have to ask, are you healing from the trauma of, I would say, previous experiences? Listen, we're carrying all these experiences from all the way to childhood, right? And what I say is that we have learned responses. You ever do something or react a certain way and you go, ooh, I just felt like my mother, or I just felt like I feel like my father, right?
Exactly.
And it's not that they were bad people. Your parents are lovely individuals, but they raised you with the tools they had at that time of life, right? So now you sat back and you watched how the role models in your life responded to um, chaos and crisis. And so now you're dragging that with you. So yes, you can read the book. You can say, I'm doing the work. You get all the tips. You have all the highlighters and all the post-it notes and so forth, all the affirmations sitting on your mirror. That's great. But are you healing from previous trauma, however you define that trauma? I'm not here to sit here and rate your trauma. But if you define it as trauma, it's trauma. Are you healing from that? Are you dealing with that to say, telling your brain, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to react that way anymore because it has not served me well. And what you're doing, throwing a little bit of neuroscience in there, is you're creating a new pathway for your brain to say, I see what you're trying to do, but I'm used to doing it this way. And that's where we get into the battlefield of the mind, right? Where we're saying, no, I don't want to do that. But I have to do it this way. It's like where your brain and your heart intersect. That's emotional intelligence, where your brain and your heart intersect to say, I know what I'm feeling here and how I want to respond in my heart. But my brain is like, wait a second. We did it that way before, because your brain doesn't give you anything new. Your brain pulls back experiences. So when you ask, what is holding us back? What are those obstacles? It's the trauma we haven't healed from, whether it's childhood, whether it's a previous work environment, toxic work environment you were in, or whatever it may be. It could have been something last week, but you're not healing from it. You're reading the books, but you're not healing from the trauma that's going to allow you to execute now and apply what you're reading and what you're learning.
Now, let me challenge that, Nicole. What if you mentioned something earlier, and these various experiences or the lack of unlearning various behaviors leading to things that are not serving you? What if they are serving you? What if they are leading to you getting career promotions, or that girl or that guy that you want, and various things that you want, knowing that you're unhealed, knowing that you're not congruent, and the person that you actually say you are is not in alignment with the actual person you are?
Right.
Talk to that person.
Yeah.
I find that there's more of those people than
Yes.
people that are emotionally intelligent.
Right. I was going to say the word alignment as well. You're not aligned. Okay. So this is where I would challenge individuals and say, okay, what are your values? Because, okay, I'm going to say, what are your values? And you can tell me all your values. But then my next question is going to be, how are you demonstrating those values? Because that's now the beginning of clarity. That's the beginning of alignment that you spoke about, right? You could sit here and think you are succeeding, but I have to say, my friend, it won't last long.
That's good.
Because you're going to come up against someone like me who has a true sense, a gift of discernment, and I'm going to break it all the way down for you. I'm not going to allow you to continue to walk in your BS, your belief system. Okay. Yeah.
I like that.
I'm not going to allow you to continue walking in it, right? Because we have these people walking around saying, take it or leave it. This is me. And now what you've done is just given me a choice. Take it or leave it.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people out there that are also too healing and dealing and growing, and they're going to leave it. And you're going to be sitting there by yourself going, wait a second. But this is where I challenge you. One person may say, Kyle, you know what? You need to straighten up your behavior, sir. I don't know what's going on here. Two people will tell you, Kyle, I don't know what's going on, sir. Mr. King, you need to get it together. I don't know what your behavior. That third person that tells you that, if you don't take heed to that, that's where all your bricks you think you've built are going to start to crumble. Okay. So it's going to start to show people's behavior. Listen, we think we're so good at hiding our behavior. We're carrying around these heavy masks, right? Because, we're walking around hiding our behavior, but you're going to run up against one person.
Exactly.
You're going to rip that mask off your face and throw it on the ground. And you're not going to know what to do with that, because now you've been found out. Now you've been exposed. Okay. And that's going to be the shift for you. So I hear you. There are people walking around faking it until they make it. And I can guarantee you, if I'm talking to you, you're exhausted. You're exhausted and you're living a lie. And if that is the life you want to live, okay. But it doesn't mean I have to be in that life you walk. I don't have to be there with you. Yeah.
Can we talk to the person that is on the other side? How do we support those people without exposing them to the point of their own death? How do we, because I saw this graphic on LinkedIn a few weeks ago and it really inspired me. It was 7 stages. I don't remember all 7 stages, but the one on the left was the word gossip. And there was all of these people in line because everyone wants to gossip. The next one, then we have people that criticize, and then we have people that, communicate a problem. But then on the far right, it was only one person in line when it said to help.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we can identify a problem and we criticize, we gossip, and we showcase and we expose. How do we actually help others become more emotionally intelligent?
And this is where, for me, you have to create that container, that safe space of trust. This is where I say, if you want to help somebody else maximize their EQ, you need to model that same behavior. Exactly. Right. And be truthful in it. Be truthful in it. And I want to make sure I state that emotional intelligence is not about being nice. It's not about, not responding to things that come your way. Because also to remember, no response is a response as well. Agreed. It's not about always being gentle. Emotional intelligence, you can be, and this is where I always state with my clients and organizations I work with, you can be firm, you can be direct, you can be assertive, you can confront conflict and still be using your emotional intelligence, still be using it. So also too, you can demonstrate empathy. So once I've created that safe space of trust, and that is demonstrating my behavior, active listening to someone, hearing them rumble through what's going on, that active listening, but also to demonstrating that empathy. That is, when you're active listening, you are also to demonstrating empathy, right? How can I support you? How can I help you? I noticed that you're a little out of character today. What's going on with that? Versus going to the water cooler and talking about this person, right? Everyone has a bad day, all right? But it's you have to show that, okay, I'm here for you. But do know, Kyle, we love negativity.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, our brain is wired to be negative. Our brain is fight, flight, or freeze. Our brain is still in the caveman days where we're running from a saber-toothed tiger. Our brain hasn't caught up with the level of technology of where we are today. Exactly. So our brain, when something comes to us, our brain doesn't say, oh my gosh, how can we use this to make the best of it? This is going to be great. Our brain doesn't say that. Our brain says, listen, you either need to fight, you need to run, or we're just going to sit here and freeze and not say anything, right? So if you can fight through that negativity, and when you want to help somebody, be ready for the answers to the questions you may ask. Be ready to support, however that may look like. Just don't talk it, show it. But because we're so negatively wired, we like the gossip. We like the mess. We like all that because you know what? It allows us to be distracted from our own poop and mess in the backyard. All right. It allows me to deflect from my own self. Also, too, it allows me to project how I'm feeling in regards to, Kyle, your success. Kyle, how well are you doing? Really? How's your little business doing? I'm projecting in that regard, because what you're doing when someone like me comes about, I always say, I trigger insecurities. I trigger your insecurities because listen, I say, hang with me. I'm gonna make you believe you can go anywhere and be anything if you have that mindset. Otherwise, I'm triggering your insecurity because I'm sitting where you believe you'll never be. So now you're going to demonstrate that behavior. but I'm still going to show you empathy. I'm still going to show you kindness. And that's where that consistency in your behavior comes in.
Why is this work important in the workplace? Like a leader that's listening to this that has heard of emotional intelligence, have heard of
Mhm.
this work, but just believes that it's a bunch of woo-woo in a sense.
Right. Absolutely. So
Why
again,
is this work important?
I have to stress again, emotional intelligence is not just emotions. I actually asked a leader, he said to me, well, we want to deal with all these emotions in the workplace. And I said, okay, well, what emotions are you speaking of? And he named all the, what I call uncomfortable emotions, angry, frustrated, annoyed, and so forth. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to deal with? And he said, joy and excitement and happy. Oh, okay. What you're telling me is that you don't want to deal with the uncomfortable emotions. And I can probably guarantee you because you have been taught how to deal with those uncomfortable emotions. We're always told, suck it up, buttercup, be happy, be joyful, be grateful that you're here and that you have a job. No, I want these leaders to understand. I want you to be grateful for the employees that are there. And with that, it creates trust. It builds trust. It helps rebuild it when it has been broken. It increases employee engagement. When people know that they are cared for, when they know that they're being heard and seen, they will be 100% productive. They will be 100% effective. And do know that when people feel heard, they have the same feeling in their body as in when they feel loved. So, listening to your employees, demonstrating empathy, showing that you care about them as a person more than that bottom line. Because listen, when you do that, you shift, which means they'll be more productive, they'll be more effective, and your bottom line will demonstrate that. Your bottom line will show, well, gosh darn, we making some money, right? Also, too, it decreases attrition. It allows people to stay on your team and want to stay on your team. They respect you. And this is where, as leaders, instead of you always leading from the front, you can actually sit back and lead from the back and allow your employees to show up and shine. If you are an emotional intelligent leader and you are showing up in that type of behavior as well. Cal, there's all kinds of stats out there that say 26%, 27% increase in regards to bottom line, employee engagement, behavior and attitudes, less lawsuits, less HR complaints. You know why? Because Kyle, you may be firm with me, you may be direct with me as a leader, but I trust you. And I know you're going to look out for me, and you've demonstrated that. That's why it's important.
I heard a quote a few years ago that I love is, what you do anywhere is how you show up everywhere.
Yeah.
And I believe that better people become better leaders, and better people are better husbands or wives, or better people in the classroom are better teachers, because it shows
Right.
up everywhere. If you're a liar, you're probably showing that in all aspects of your life.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And similar to how you opened up, you're a mother that is raising boys to be
Mhm.
emotionally intelligent. You're a wife, so you
Mhm.
showcase that in your relationship. But I'm sure you weren't always this person.
No.
Can we go back to talk to, like, how did you get into this work? What was the transition look like to being an expert in this field?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna share a story with you. Usually I share this story in my keynotes, but I'll share it with your audience today. So I do have a psychology degree. I grew up in an emotionally chaotic household. So, lack of communication, lack of trust, lots of learned responses that I've had to unlearn in my household. And hence the reason why I got into psychology, because I just wanted to understand where my parent that was dealing with mental health, where their mindset was, where they were coming from, and how I could support them more. After 4 years of college, I was like, I'm done. I don't know anymore. I jumped into human resources, which then my love of human behaviorism in the workplace started to grow. And, I was doing human resources, talent management, and so forth, learning and development. When I was 30, I was an HR director, a young 30, 20 years ago. Um, Someone came into my office and shared with me a grievance that they had about one of our vice presidents. I went down to confront the vice president regarding it. And what he said was racist. What he said was condescending. What he said was unacceptable. However, I didn't respond. appropriately. I literally slammed my hands on the desk and I said, you are and I'll just say but for your audience, but I used another word. And I slammed my hands and I spun around on my heels. I remember exactly what I was wearing. I stomped upstairs. I went into my office and I closed the door. I slammed the door actually. And I cried. And Kyle, I'm not a crier. Nothing against people that cry. It takes a lot for me to cry. And the president of the organization that I was reporting to came in and said, okay, I know what happened. Do you feel that was the best response? And I'm crying, no, and everything. But while he's talking, I also saw this little 10-year-old girl sitting in the corner crying. And that 10-year-old girl was me. Because that's when I said, oh my God, I just gave a response in regards to like how my parent would respond to being challenged, lack of communication. I just lashed out. So what I did was I wasn't mad at what I said. He was one. He was truly the name I called him. There's no debate about that. Everyone knows it. I was upset because I gave away my emotional power. I had now allowed him to pull the strings. I now allowed him to walk around the organization on the campus I was on and say, I needed anger management courses. And I said, if he goes, I'll sit right up front with him. But that's where I said, there's gotta be something else. Called my mentor, called some friends. And I said, I've been looking into this thing called emotional intelligence, touched on it a little bit in psychology. And I said, I got to dig into it a little bit more because I feel that's something that's going to help me. And I went about it a different way though, because if you Google it, there's a lot of stuff out there about emotional intelligence. But what I've done differently in regards to my work is I didn't just look at the white man in the workplace that was never designed for me. I looked at how other cultures and other heritage and ethnicities use emotional intelligence for survival. And that's what I had to learn how to do, was how to use it for my survival at first, but then learn how to use it for my success and how to use it in real time. This is where I say no fluff, no theory. I use it in real time. So I had a moment where I was so out of character, cussing at the workplace, and I said, this is not the way to go. I've had other moments. We all have. Yeah. But it's now very rare because now I use methods within my framework to help me compose, help me regulate my emotions, and help me stay a little more emotionally grounded. But that does not mean I do not express my emotions. So that was 20 years ago. And here I am sitting today using my own framework to help not only myself, but my family and clients.
Now, can you talk to us about this framework and how you have clients that have some massive results?
Yes.
And companies that have massive results. What is this framework and how can one of our listeners even get access or learn from this framework?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's called EQ Impact. And it's just that you make it an emotional, intelligent impact. And what I'm doing is helping leaders, transform and be emotionally brilliant and have mindset mastery. So emotional intelligence impact, or EQ impact, is about being bold in how you show up in the workplace, at home, and in the community. And so our pillars are self-discovery, emotional mastery, social intelligence, and relationship building. So as I said it, think the foundation, the toolkit, the bridge to have healthy relationships, because what's weaved all through this framework is how you are building trust, how you are building and maintaining trust, because we are supposed to be in relationships. I don't care if you say, oh, I'm an introvert, extrovert, whatever that label is for yourself. You are supposed to have healthy relationships. And so this framework walks through specific steps to help you begin with that self-discovery. But what is, I want to say, cool about my EQ impact is that it is no fluff, no theory. It is real time, okay? Meaning prompts to help you. Well, what do I say, Nicole, when? What do I do when? Because what you're not going to do is go to a book and flip through and find theory, right? You're not going to do that. So the EQ impact, what's unique is that it allows you to be emotionally brilliant, which means you're able to label your emotions and manage your behavior in real time, because only 36% of us can do that. Only a third of us can recognize our emotions and manage our behavior in real time. And that's what EQ Impact helps you do. And how you can find it is simply go to my website at www.thenicolefsmith.com. So THE Nicole F as in Frank Smith.com. And you can reach out to me. There's a video out there regarding my framework, and there's all kinds of free resources you can tap into to help you anywhere from your communication, understanding your communication, which is your body language, tone, and your words, as well as emotional intelligence and how it affects your decision making and how to have productive conversations. Again, to keep that relationship, that healthy relationship going. Because listen, people can create or people can get into relationships, but my challenge is how do you maintain it? And understanding, is it a transformational relationship or is it a transactional relationship? It's key in knowing that.
Walk me through the difference though between a transformational versus a transactional relationship. Because I think when we hear transactions, we think only money.
Oh, yeah.
So much more to that. Can you talk to us about the differences between?
Right. So transactional is just that, you know, I do for you, you do for me, and probably Kyle, we're not really talking much in between. It's, you know, how can I support you, Kyle? And you call me, hey Nicole, you know, can we talk about this? And hey Kyle, hey, you know, can we talk about this? Or I have a contact for you. And we just kind of like switching items. It could be switching knowledge, it could be exchanging money, it could be exchanging I don't want to say people in regards to, I want to say like relationships, like, you know, my contacts. I'm exchanging a contact with you. That's transactional. You know, I may not talk to you for a few months and I'm okay with that. The transformational is where we are really invested in each other's lives to where we are intentional about helping you grow.
That's good.
I want to see you thrive. We're really intentional about reciprocating, you know, each other's vibe and each other's energy. It's transformational. You are feeding into my soul. You are feeding into my mind. You are feeding into my wallet. Right? Yeah. So you're helping me see my purpose. You know, my purpose, I don't sit here and walk around and say, my purpose. I see my purpose when I see you, Kyle, thriving, when I see you succeeding and knowing that I had a little part of that, right? That's transformational. You will be there for several seasons, if not all my seasons. To me, that's a transformational relationship. And where people get upset is when the other person thinks it's just transactional and I'm going in wanting transformation. And that's where the conflict comes in regards to relationships.
Can you talk about the difference though between both of those relationships in regards to, I don't believe all relationships, and maybe this is where you can challenge me. I don't believe all relationships are going to be transformational.
Right. Oh, I agree.
There are going to be certain relationships that are meant to be transformational and they are there through various seasons. And then there are other relationships that may be transactional. I love the definition that you gave because it's still a sharing. And it's still a reciprocity, but not a continuous investment in owning that person's success or that person's purpose for their life. So how do I assess or vet on the front end, is this going to be transformational versus transactional?
Oh, that's a good question. I had to take a deep breath on that one because I have had relationships where I go, oh, I thought this was something else. and I've been disappointed. But what I'm learning to do is once relationships, or I place people in those relationships and I know it's good. I'm okay. We're good on this. You know, how do you know? I think when you jump in initially, it's for me, I jump in already trusting until you show me different. That's just always how I've been. That's just how I'm wired. I jump in trusting. until you show me otherwise. And then, Kyle, that's where I place you.
That's good.
Where I need to place you.
Of course.
If I don't fully trust you, I might put you in that transactional versus that transformational. So I think this is where I tell people, this is what I've learned. I've stopped trying to see if people like me. I've stopped trying to, oh my gosh, I want you to like me. My meter now is, how do I feel when I'm around you?
That's good.
What is my energy? What is my vibe when I'm around you? Do I feel your energy and your vibe, or do I feel like I'm trying to fit in? Do I feel like I'm struggling to get you to like me? And so with that, I think I take that in mind where I go, okay, is this going to be transactional or is this going to be transformational? And I guess I want the listeners to know there's no checkbox, there's no checklist. It's just, I really want us to be in tune to our body and feel that energy and vibe when you are now embarking into new relationships. I want you to feel it, because that discernment, that's real. That is real. And you need to trust that, because if you don't trust that, that's telling me you don't trust yourself.
That's so good. It really is, because I think a lot of times we leave new relationships, or we come into new relationships as this fake character trying to put on and fit in. And it doesn't even allow us the opportunity to feel, because we're so focused on being impressive or seen, rather than assessing from a place of emotional intelligence. Is this contributing to me feeling like I actually want to feel? We can't even understand our feelings if we're so committed to being someone that we're not.
And with that, usually when you're doing that, it's because you're trying to make that other person comfortable with you. You're making yourself now uncomfortable because you're making them comfortable. And I don't prescribe to the whole imposter syndrome message. I don't prescribe to that. I do feel like we all have self-doubt at time. But the reason why I'm saying that, if you walk into a room or you walk into areas of people and you are immediately feeling a sense of self-doubt, I want you to step back for a second and go, what's triggering that? It could be that person, a person that you're, communicating with, or it could just be the situation, the room that you're in. Maybe you're not supposed to be in that room.
Maybe.
Listen, because I carry my table around with me. And if my table doesn't fit in the room, I'm leaving the room, And so that's just where I have grown. And listen, it's been a journey. I have recently lost relationships because I chose, you notice I said chose. I chose to not see the red flags. I chose not to see them, ignore them, when it was a whole color guard of flags. And the reason why is because I was looking at that person's potential. I was like looking at their potential to be a good friend or a good whatever that relationship was going to be. And I was exhausted because I was forcing it. And I was like, okay, listen, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And literally my husband looked at me when it happened. He said, okay, you let go of that relationship. He goes, but did you die? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And I'm actually okay. I'm okay now. Don't get me wrong. I still wish those people the best.
Yeah.
I want you to succeed. I hope Oprah calls you. I wish all the things. But right now, where I am in my life, there are certain people that I just don't want to be around. And you can contribute to me being 50, because when you hit 50, you get a whole different mindset. But yeah, no, I also contribute to how I want to be celebrated, and I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be celebrated. You're not going to tolerate me. I want you to celebrate me, and in turn, I will celebrate you. I will bring the clappers, the pom-poms, and all that stuff. And I will be there for you when you're crying as well. And when you're doubting yourself, I'll be the one to help pick you up, or you can just lay on my shoulder and cry, whatever you need to do. I'm that girl. I'm that one, but you have to discern through that. You have to discern through that.
Nicole, if you had 60 seconds to share a message with everyone in the world, that would be the last message that you would have to leave, what would you say?
Oh, Kyle. Oh my gosh. My last message is, once you are going to continue walking on this journey, and there's going to be moments where you take a pause, you take a breath, and I want you to do that. But as you're walking, you are going to learn so much about yourself that you're going to become so emotionally brilliant, and you are going to shine, and you are going to show up, and you're going to walk in rooms and command the room that no one will ever be able to tell you anything about yourself that you don't know, because during this journey, you are learning to love yourself. And as more love grows for yourself, the brighter you will shine in regards to your emotional intelligence.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And
How does that feel, you sharing that?
if I was a crier, I probably would cry. No. No, it literally, I can feel the churning in my stomach right now, because one, no one has ever asked me that. And so I appreciate that you asking me that, because I've worked so hard in loving Nicole and healing from all the things that I have been through, to where now my toolkit has every tool in it to be able to master my emotions and maximize my emotional intelligence. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect at all. But gosh darn, when I walk in rooms, I am emotionally brilliant. And I'm going to stand on that 10 toes down, and no one's going to be able to knock me or take away my shine. So it felt really good to say that. And since you're recording this, I'm going to need a copy of that so I can now share it.
I got you.
So I can share it in other places. But I really do appreciate you asking me that question, because wow, that was intense.
Nicole, this has been phenomenal. This has been exactly what I thought it would be.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
You're such a light, and I just
Aw.
wanted to give you your flowers. You are such a light, and I've learned so much and taken so many notes on this end. Where can people find you? How can people support you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So on all the socials, I am the Nicole F. Smith. You can go to my website at thenicolefsmith.com. And I say but the NicoleFSmith.com. All my information is out there, how to contact me, how to reach me. I also, too, am a host of my own podcast, Blow Your Mindset, on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as on YouTube at thenicolefsmith.com. And I look forward to everyone reaching out. And I have to say, I respond. I know everybody has like their admins and so forth. And listen, my team is great, but I love responding to everyone that comes through if I can. So if you interact with me on socials, I will interact back. You email me, I will email you back. If you respond to my newsletters, I will respond back, because that's just the type of person I am.
She actually will, y'all.
Yeah, I will. I will. And you can ask Kyle how I respond back to my emails, because one of my values, I think I hit it around that. One of my values is peace. Okay. I strive for peace every day. And another one of my values is fun. If you are not smiling at least 3 times a day, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Even if you just laugh at a funny joke, see a funny video on the socials, I am fun. And you will see that come out in how I respond to you. Because listen, there's so many serious things going on. And trust me, I take all of them seriously. But there are times where you just have to laugh out loud, whether at yourself or somebody else. So please know that this what you're hearing and what you're seeing. This is my energy. This is my vibe. And please jump on, because I want you in this circle. Please jump on.
Let's go.
Let's
Nicole,
go.
I appreciate you so much. And anybody listening, thank you so much for joining another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. Ask yourself this week, what kind of culture am I spreading? Culture is everywhere. Make yours. worth catching. We'll see you all next episode.